Let's jump right into it. So we needed storage for our clothes and ended up checking out the wardrobes at Ikea. We settled on the 92-inch tall Pax unit because of the space and the customization options. 2 units side by side was the perfect length for our bedroom. We also grabbed 4 of the Bergsbo doors because of their added detail. From Ikea, it was on to the hardware store to pick out a paint color. I originally wanted a bright yellow to complement the wallpaper for the inside. It also matched my outfit, but it ended up clashing with our floors and it just didn't work. So it's back to the paint store where I picked out a few samples to test. If you're not sure about what color to choose for a project, I highly recommend this technique. Grab your paint samples, they're only about a few dollars each, some brushes, and watercolor paper. Apply the paint to cover the entire piece of paper and let dry. This doesn't have to be perfect by any means, just make sure the paper is fully covered with paint. Then hang the samples side by side so you can compare and contrast what they look like together. This is great for seeing what the colors actually look like in different lighting, so be sure to hang them in the room where you want to use the color. After settling on a color, it was time to get to work, and up first, prepping the surface. If you're painting anything from Ikea, prepping the surface properly is the key for a successful outcome. And you can definitely trust me on that. I have painted a lot of Ikea furniture in my day, and I have ruined a lot of Ikea furniture in my day. So this is the method that is my tried and true, and it definitely works. But start off sanding everything down. I used 120 grit sandpaper, and then I wiped everything down to remove the excess dust. I laid out all of my pieces and lifted them on blocks so I could access the sides, and then it was time to prime. If you've been on my channel or have seen any of my videos, you know that I love the bin primer. This is my absolute go-to when painting Ikea furniture. So I applied a layer of that to the doors, the sides, everything that was going to take on paint, I primed. Because the doors had textures, I had to cut in with a smaller brush before rolling on the primer itself. Once that is applied, you have to let it dry. So I gave it about a day. It's drier to the touch within like an hour. So it's really up to you and your schedule for painting. After the primer dried, it was time for one of my favorite parts of any project, and that is adding the color. After going back and forth between 2 colors, I settled on Tropical Pool by Benjamin Moore. It's a cool color, but very bright and joyful. It also matched the colors of our bedroom rug the best, so I had to go with it. I followed the same process as I did with the primer. I cut in with a paintbrush on the details of the door, and then I rolled on the paint after. Do your best to avoid any clumps when painting. You want the application to be as smooth as possible so it dries nicely. I applied 2 coats in total and then did very minor touch-ups on anything that was maybe lacking in paint. To protect the paint after it dried, I applied a thin layer of polyacrylic. Again, you want the smoothest application as possible, otherwise you might get air bubbles or lumps in your sealant and you will notice it on top of the paint. I have found the best technique is to roll on the polyacrylic very quickly and then smooth everything out with a sponge brush in long strokes. For that extra touch of personalization, I wanted to add pools to the front of the door, so I marked midway on the door where they would go. I grabbed a piece of tape and then put my handle on top of it. You can poke holes in the tape and that'll tell you exactly where your holes need to be for when you drill into your door. Line it up, level it off, and then drill your holes. It's a pretty foolproof tip, just make sure you level everything. My main advice for this is to drill your holes before you start painting or priming. I did mine after the first coat and it does peel up a little bit of paint. I was able to paint over it no problem, but to avoid that altogether, just do this before you paint. And because I can't get enough of wallpaper, if you saw my hutch project, you know I love it. I think it adds so much to any project. I decided to wallpaper the back of the wardrobe. I went with a peel and stick wallpaper from Rifle Paper Company. It's very easy to apply. You just peel and stick. It's in the name. It's great. I started in the top left corner, and then from there, it's difficult to explain, but you're basically removing the back of like the sticker backing as you're smoothing on top. So you want to peel the back as you go and then smooth on top at the same time, and this will ensure a very smooth application of your wallpaper. Because it was a peel and stick wallpaper, I didn't have to let it dry. I could just go back in and add the other panel to it, lining up the seams as I went. And then I went through and trimmed the excess with an X-Acto knife, and that was how I wallpapered the back. So here is where we're going to put the wardrobe once we build it. And by we, I mean Ryan. I hate assembling IKEA furniture. I hate it. You can't pay me to do it. I won't do it. So I had him come in and lend a hand. And as you can see, all I did was hold things. So that was a very great and easy part of the project for me. And then it came time to put the backing, the wallpaper back that I did on the back of the unit. So you just hammer in nails and really that's it. So this was it before we added any of our clothes. One tip is to apply your hinges to your doors before you put them on the unit. We found that the easiest way to go. One thing that I did to help me stay organized was that I had custom acrylic drawer dividers made, and I got these made from an Etsy shop that I will link below, but these were great for storing my earrings in. I had been looking for something for years, and this was the perfect solution. All of our clothes were on plastic hangers, so we went ahead and swapped them out for something a little more sustainable and a little nicer. So we got these gold hangers, I'll link them below, but we got them on Amazon and they just added that perfect final polish to the piece. Okay, so the wardrobe is done. It's really tall. I am 5'9" and our ceilings are 10 feet tall. So just to give you an idea of the height of the piece, it's pretty big. I think it would be really fun to show you the inside, the wallpaper detail and everything like that. So let's check it out. Okay, so here is what the piece looks like on the outside. It is very tall. Our ceilings are 10 feet tall. So it's a very large piece. Now these are the handles. I love them because they're brass and leather. They really pick up the coloring of our floors and it ties the room together. So let's open this up. And as you can see, this is my side of the closet. Let me step back. I like to dress seasonally, so these are my spring into summer clothes. I've got skirts, sweaters, and then dresses. And then anything that I'm not wearing in the season, I have up here. So up top in this box is where I store everything that I'm not wearing at the time. I got it from Ikea, but I have clothes vacuum sealed and put away up top. And then when it's a new season or I want to change it up, I will take clothes from there and put them with the rest of my clothes. The wallpaper is definitely a subtle detail, but I really think it's the small details in a DIY project that sort of bring everything together. So you can definitely see it peeking through, and then if I were to move it to look at a sweater or whatever it may be, you get a little more sense of the wallpaper. So it's not 100% necessary in a project, but I really do think that it adds a little something special. All right, moving on to one of my favorite things about the whole thing is that I had these custom acrylic pieces made so that I have storage for all of my jewelry and my earrings. So this is one of two trays that I have. It's great because it fits my like oversized statement earrings. I know exactly which pair is in which slot. So there's that drawer. And then I have another one here. So I really love this. And these are just acrylic pieces that fit in with one another. And that is how I store all of my earrings. Moving on, I also had this like clear bin which I store all my purses in. And then I have these two drawers for sweatshirts. So they're kind of folded in card catalog style, but that is where I keep my sweatshirts. I have a few pair of shoes down here right now. I'm actually not sure what to do with this space because I do have this big gown. I think I might add like a basket for clothes that don't need to be put in the washer yet, but that I still want to wear. So that is it for my half of the wardrobe. Let's go on to Ryan's side now. All right, so Ryan's side is different than mine. We chose different layouts because we have different clothes. He doesn't have any gowns, and I don't have any pants. So you'll see that we have two different layouts here. So here is what his looks like. And he does the same thing as I do, where we do seasonal clothes up top. But this pant rack is actually one of the cooler things about his setup. Let me pull it out and show it to you. So it just slides out on the track, and then you can see that it has these bars that you just hang your pants over. There's no need for hangers or anything like that. And this is how he stores all of his pants. It just slides back in. He has the same clothing bar across as I have in mine. His is just lower than mine, just because I have to accommodate for dresses. And then he has storage in here for his ties and belts, and then another like big pull-out drawer with space on the bottom for shoes. There is a shoe rack that Ikea has, but it's out of stock for a while, so he just has them kind of stored as they are. But let me actually step back and show you what they look like together. So that is our Ikea Pax Wardrobe system. I really love the piece. I love how we each have individual storage for our needs, but then cohesively, it looks like one great piece when the doors are closed. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about the project. I would love to hear from you and love to know what you think about everything. And please feel free to like and subscribe. I will be back with another home DIY very soon.